I'm Holly Carney, producer on Between the Mountains.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Tadlock, producer.
Hi, I'm Ann Vucic, executive producer.
And we're having our coffee with you today. And I have a crab mug because I'm in San Diego.
And mine says,
Worry
less, pray more.
I like that.
And mine doesn't say anything, but maybe my sweater gives away. I'm in Colorado right now. We're just living in Chicago, but on vacation in Colorado.
She's going to Breckenridge today, and I'm jealous. Well, welcome everybody following us on Between the Mountains. We are so excited to be here, just sharing with you our adventures and journeys in the making of this major feature film, Between the Mountains, a film on the graces flowing out of Medjugorje. And what that's going to be, we can't tell you, that's a secret, but we want to share this journey with you along the way. And in our last episode, we talked about how the Lord brought us all together. And today we want to, or in this episode rather, we want to share with you a little bit about our trip to Medjugorje, just some of the highlights. And it started when we all arrived in Bosnia. And Ann, I just got to pass you the football. You take it from there because I can't even describe where it was you took us first. Which, by the way, my daughter was very worried about me because I had a sleeping pill on the airplane.
Yeah.
The effects of it, which was
We were a little out of it, yes.
Yeah, well, that was a blessing in disguise because I didn't realize how many cliffs were on that road you were driving.
You know, we landed in Sarajevo. For people who've been to Medjugorje,
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. There's a couple of different places you can land. And for us, it was great. You know, you guys flew in from Los Angeles. I flew in from Chicago. We met in Vienna, and from Vienna, we flew together to Sarajevo. And, you know, from the very beginning of kind of putting this whole thing together, I kind of knew in my heart, I really think that was entirely the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I knew in my heart the places that we needed to go, the things that we needed to do, the people that we needed to encounter. And it was just kind of like, as we were going forward on this journey, okay, Lord, make all of that possible, right? So on the way from Sarajevo to Medjugorje, and it's an arduous journey, I think you guys will agree. It's not an easy journey. But on the way to Medjugorje from the airport, all like maybe 2/3 of the way to Medjugorje, there is a convent. And in that convent lives one of my aunts, my dad's sister, Sister Angelina, who my own biological sister was named after her. Sure, her name is Angelina. She was named after my dad's sister, Sister Angelina. And my aunt has lived in this convent. You know, that's the mother house of her order. She's a Franciscan that serves, it's the Franciscan sisters that serve in Medjugorje, that serve in that whole region. And so for many years, my aunt was a sacristan in Medjugorje. And, you know, for people who remember just the horrific images of the war that happened in the 1990s, there was just, you know, chaos reigned and evil reigned all over that entire territory. And when the war came, when Yugoslavia broke apart and the war came to that territory, literally the first place that was attacked was the convent that my aunt lives in now. And the reason for that is the communists who were in control of Yugoslavia wanted to destroy all of the symbols of faith. They went after the convents, the monasteries, the churches, you know, anything that was a symbol of faith, they wanted to go after. And so literally the first place they attacked was the convent. It's in a town called Bielopolje. And, you know, one of the incredible stories, they pummeled the convent from all sides. They were up in the hills and attacking with grenades and bombs and all this kind of stuff, entirely destroyed the convent. But 30 feet away from the convent, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to take you guys there. I wanted to start off by showing you the miracles in the midst of evil and destruction, that God is ever present, and just the grace that's at work. 20-30 feet from the convent, there is a grotto of the Blessed Mother. And with all of the grenades that were pummeling that convent, not one grenade touched that grotto of the Blessed Mother.
It's amazing. And, you know, Kiki's putting together a video, our producer's assistant, Kiki Carney, of the pictures of this. We walked through the burned up, what convent rather. I mean, the walls are all still there and everything is kept. I love that it's preserved so we can see what happened. And we'll have a little video showing pictures of all this a little bit down the road in a different episode. So we'll be able to kind of show you. But one of the favorite things that I loved when we were there was not just the holiness of all the nuns, but your auntie. Because my auntie, her name is also Angelina. And my auntie also sings like an angel and was a flutist and flautist, or however you say that. And when your auntie invited us in to have snacks, I guess, it was so amazing. The grapes and the food they brought out, because, you're in another country and it's different, formalities and styles. And Jennifer, you want to share what else the auntie brought out?
Well, first we got the tea. Right, the iced tea, and then she brought out something to go with our iced tea.
Probably never been offered this by a nun.
Yeah, so it all took us by surprise. I mean, it was.
And what was
just
it,
a very
Jennifer?
great bonding moment.
What was it?
It was moonshine,
Right.
homemade moonshine. How old was that?
It was your grandfather made the moonshine.
I was stunned by it. And you know what? I have to say, before we even got there, I had told her that I wanted to bring you guys there. And I had said to her, they're going to be exhausted. We're just landing from this long journey. We want to pop in. I want to show them, the convent, the destroyed convent. I want to show them the grotto, show them the newly built, convent, all of that. And then we're gonna go. And she just would have none of that. She was gonna host us and offer us treats and tea.
It was so beautiful. So
she brings out the moonshine. I know this stuff existed. She said this was made by your grandfather. My grandfather, who died many, many years ago.
Yeah,
like, you still have moonshine from my grandfather.
We all had a little toddy. Mind you, I was in deep prayer and fasting, but I took some moonshine.
From my aunt the nun.
Oh yeah, I added it to my iced tea.
And the funniest thing was, it's like in a little water bottle. You see the moonshine, and you'll see it in the pictures whenever Kiki does the video. But it was one of the neatest things. And she put them in these beautiful, everything was beautiful, crystal shooters, and we all, had our moonshine. But here's another coincidence that happened when we were sitting there. I was filming. I filmed everything. I filmed every interview. I filmed every person. Probably should have used the tripod more because you might get a lot of sky, but it's okay. I'm not a director. This is not my job. So I was sitting there. We're all at the table. My auntie and Kiki and Jennifer and the driver. Oh, I love him. Tell me his name.
Marian.
Okay, awesome guy. I was showing him movies while he was driving these windy roads, and he was watching and driving.
Yeah.
Look at that.
In full trust mode. If you were able to show him videos while he was driving.
I wanted the front seat, so I jumped in the other car and the two of us went on. So here's what's really neat. It was a prompting of the Holy Spirit. I don't do this. If you know me, I've never asked anyone to do this before, but I looked at the auntie. She's in her habit, right? And I said, Auntie, would you sing us a song?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was stunned by that.
Right. And so she did. Now she sang us 2 songs, and then she sang and sang and sang and sang and sang, and it was so beautiful. So Anne, tell us what you told us several days later when you had shared with your mother. Mother, you're never going to believe this. Tell us the backstory of that, because it's interesting. It's like, oh, wow.
Well, first of all, I actually wanted the very first song she sang. I just want to say it really moved me because when my father died in Chicago, before my father was dying, we had my aunt, his sister, fly out so that she could be with him towards the end of his life. And so she was there when he passed away. And at his funeral, she sang that song that she sang to us that day. And I hadn't heard her sing that song since his funeral, which was in 2001. And so it just was, for me, it was a very kind of emotional moment to hear her singing that song again, knowing the backstory of that particular song. But so then after she finished that first song, Holly asked her to sing another song. And yes, you did. Yes, you did. And she said,
I had a sleeping pill. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you
to
did
me in Croatian.
Nothing.
She said to me in Croatian, well, there's another song that's really beautiful. it's really long, but I could sing it. And I said to her, I go, well, you don't have to sing all the verses. And she was like, I think she really wanted to, because she's like, well, it's really long. And I probably said to her 3 times, well, then don't sing all the verses.
Yeah.
She did. She sang all the verses.
She did, though, didn't she?
But
Yeah.
so what had just happened 2 weeks earlier?
So no, not 2 weeks earlier, a few days.
What?
Just before I left. So, well, a week before we left for this trip, she had been in touch with my mom they had a 60th anniversary celebration of the vows of some of the sisters. And it was a mass, and my aunt was a part of the choir, and she was asked to sing a solo at this mass. And she was so excited about singing this solo. And so this was videotaped, and she really wanted my mom to hear the videotape of her singing the solo at this mass. The problem was she's not very technologically advanced, and so she didn't know how to send it. And so she was calling my mom probably 3 times a day with different suggestions. Now, this is the few days before we flew out, right? She's calling my mom a few times a day, trying to send this video, and it wasn't working. And then she brings one of the other nuns in to try to like find another way to send the video, and it wasn't working. And my mom was calling me into it. Do you know how we could have her send this video? And finally I said to her, I said, listen, I'm going to be there in a few days. Okay. I'll be there like the day after tomorrow. I'll find a way to send the video to my mom. Right. In the meantime, she did find a way to send the video to my mom, and we were able to hear it. But the thing that was so amazing to me was it was something on her heart that she really wanted us to hear her singing this song, right? Wow. And so when you asked her a few days later to sing, it was like just knowing the whole backstory of how that whole week before, how she was like really wanting her to hear her sing this song.
And think about that with God's, God wanted to bless her too. Yeah. And here we are, after being on the plane for 24 hours or whatever it was, here we are, that happened. And I'm like, why did I ask her to sing? That was so random, right? I don't know. It was the Lord. So, all right. So then I know we don't have too much time on this episode, but we want to get to some of the points that happened. And again, and don't feel badly if I'm going to be asking you to jump in here a lot. Yeah. One of the we were on this trip for reconnaissance to see what if we could get the support. As I mentioned, with our movie Fatima, we had the World Apostolate of Fatima support, the Shrine of Fatima. We had endorsements from various bishops around the world, and we needed to be in under the covering, if you will, of those in charge of Medjugorje and what's going on there, and everyone involved there. And if we would get their approval, collaboration, and endorsement, then there would be a movie to be had. Also, we were praying and discerning about what the through line of this movie will be, which is a secret. We're under NDAs for that. But trust us, we've read 10 books on everything, and we're learning, and we're growing and learning rapidly. With that being said, Anne was very diligent as our consultant and executive producer on this project in getting these meetings for us. And I want you to jump in and say, on the last episode, we discussed, Holly, had you called me 4 months earlier, I don't know that. Take it from there as to some of the meetings we had.
Yeah. So you had said to me, on one of the phone calls, you had said, the only way we can go forward with this project is if we have the support of the local church officials. And I chuckled inside myself and said, I can't believe you just said that, because so the local church officials, meaning there's really 3 different church officials that we would need to have met with. The first was the pastor of Medjugorje, who is in charge of the shrine of the church and the everything that goes on there. The second one is so the Franciscan order runs the Church of St. James in Medjugorje, and so the Franciscans are in charge of Medjugorje. And so the pastor is the first one. The second person that we would have needed the support from is the provincial minister of the Franciscan order, meaning the priest who's in charge of all of the Franciscans of Bosnia-Herzegovina. He's the one that's in charge overall of the church in Medjugorje, right? And the third person that we would need the support of is the Vatican-appointed Bishop Aldo Cavalli, who was appointed by Pope Francis to oversee the shrine. Those are the 3 people that we would need the support of, or would have liked to have the support of. And as it happened, quote unquote, as it happened, 4 months earlier, so this was August, in May, the Franciscan order, the Franciscans of Herzegovina, the previous provincial, his time was, you know, when they're elected to be provincial, there's a certain time frame, right? His time was expired and they had an election to vote in a new provincial. Well, the provincial that they voted in happened to be a priest that I've known for 25 years. I didn't know the previous provincial. I knew his name, but I'd never met him. If you had said to me, that's why when you said, you know, that's why I said to you, if you had called me 4 months earlier, I wouldn't have been able to open, you know, some of the doors that we were able to open, because the person that was elected in May as the provincial of the Franciscan order was a priest that I had known for 25 years. He had served the Croatian community in Chicago for those 25 years. And so all the Croatians in Chicago know him, Father Jozo Grbić, or as, you know, people in Chicago, I'll call him Father Joe. He was now the priest that we needed to talk to. So after you and I had that phone conversation, I sent him a message that night. I said, Father Joe, can I talk to you tomorrow? Called him. He called me immediately the following morning. I told him about the project. I told him about you guys. I told him about, you know, where this all came from, how it was born. And he literally said to me, he said, this all sounds beautiful and I will support it. And of course, when we came to Medjugorje, the first meeting that we had was with the pastor of Medjugorje, because of course it was important to have that meeting in person as well, with the pastor of Medjugorje and with the Franciscan provincial. We sat down and had a beautiful conversation.
And now, how do you say Father Z's name? I always say Father Z, but how do you say it?
Yeah, Father Zvonimir Pavicic is his name.
Just say
It's a mouthful.
That's how we say Father Z.
He is so handsome. He's only been a priest 5 years. I was like, oh, he's like 35. And
I know.
Only been a priest 5 years, and all of his years of priesthood have been in Medjugorje. And he was just made pastor a few months before that. So you know, Father Z was new and his role as pastor of Medjugorje. Father Jozo was new in his role as provincial minister. And so we're new in this project, and the Lord kind of brought us all together.
it was amazing. And, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was just gonna add, just to go with everything else, just the graces that we were, you know, that poured out to us while we were there. That was really the only one you had set in stone, the meeting. We didn't know what other meetings, the other meetings you were trying to give, we didn't know if we were going to get that. Exactly. Remember? Holly and I, you know, how they're like, so what else are we doing? Who else are we meeting?
I had great faith. I knew they were just going to come.
We had no idea.
Yeah, I knew doors were going to open. I just didn't know.
One of my favorite meetings, and this is really interesting, and we have others to share about, but Anne says, oh, in 1 hour, we're going to meet Visca, one of the visionaries' husband, Mario. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so he comes in to meet with us. We end up spending like 3 hours with him. So in the middle of this, we sat down, we started meeting, and all of a sudden, he's just, for no reason, starts crying. He's just like, yeah. And then we're all like this. And he goes, he's crying, he stops, he goes, did I get the part? Can I be in the movie?
Yes, he was auditioning the whole time.
Right. He's like, which one of you is the director? I want to sit by her.
You are getting a cameo in the movie.
Yes.
The next
he was brown-nosing Jennifer the whole time.
He brought his script back. He brought his script back. It's like, can you put him in the movie?
So serious. Did not expect that at all. We did not expect that at all.
What was amazing about him, really, what was amazing about him was that he could go, and this, I love this about people in general, and I found this with the two of you too. He could go from being like intensely spiritual, profound, like just speaking the deepest, you know, expressing the deepest kind of parts of his heart, the deepest of spirituality. And then he'd go into that, now, who's going to be my director? Like, you know, his hilarious, like joking, you know, it just was this beautiful, healthy spirituality, humor, you know, just, yeah, it was great. And we got it all on video.
Oh, it was so, but I will say this, as I've learned, because I mean, this is like, I've been learning like you're pouring a fire hose at me since we went to Medjugorje. I mean, like reading book after book after book after book after book and experiencing it. But Visca has a special place in my heart. I love that her name means life. And I've learned that all the visionaries' names have some are really profound in their meanings. You can help me with this real quick. I think Jakov means James, which the name of the church is St. James, which he's a patron saint of pilgrims. I've learned that Ivan and Ivanka means
Ivan is the Croatian version of the name John, and so Ivanka would be like Janet.
And the first apparition took place on the Feast of St. John
the Baptist. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that was really symbolic. And then Maria and Mariana means Mary.
Maria means Mary. Mirjana, which is you kind of, if you split that word in half, mir and Yanya, it would be like peaceful lamb, a little bit kind of like mir means peace, right? And Our Lady came as the Queen of Peace, and so in Mirjana's name is the word mir, which is peace.
Wow.
And Vicka's just, most people don't know this actually. Vicka is just her nickname. Her family, everybody that knows her intimately, they call her Christian name is Vida. And Vida, as you said, Holly, Vida means life. But her nickname from childhood is Vicka, and that's just how all the
It's like my daughter's name, everyone calls her Kiki, but her real name is Keely, which means beautiful one in Gaelic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go. But anyways, yes, I just thought that the names meant that they were just amazing. And some of the dates that happened, like the church being christened and reopened on January 19th, 1969. That was a huge NFL star's birthday, a very dear friend of ours who's passed away. But it's just like, whoa, like there's just so many things that have come together that are.
And St. James, I don't know how many people know I don't know if you just said this, Holly, maybe you did, but that St. James is the patron saint of pilgrims.
Yes, I did say that. Yeah, I did say that.
Okay, yes.
I beat you to it.
The church that's standing there today is, for the village of Medjugorje, which was teeny tiny before the apparitions began. They had another church that was more appropriate to the size of the village. That church was sinking because the ground was not very steady. So they started in the late 60s, they started building this new church, the Church of St. James. And nobody understood why they were building a church so huge, because it was bigger than any of my villages.
Built it to miles away. 2,000, and there were only 300 parishioners at the time, right?
Yeah.
Nobody understood that. Today, of course, it's not big enough, right?
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about. All right, let's have a little intermission of our meetings and tell Jennifer, jump in. What happened during one of the apparitions with your rosary?
Oh wow.